Got it?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And we are now moving to the next session, which is the last presentation of the conference, the last presentation of the day. The presentation is going to be on PRODIGY, ATO, and IFLYSIM initiative on how this cost-effectively meets and addresses the training capacity needs to aspiring professional pilots, cabin crew, aviation engineers, and managers. The presentation will be made by Mr. Nataya Ivo Indo, who is the compliance manager at PRODIGY Aviation. Nataya is an accomplished airlines operations professional with over 17 years of extensive experience in operational flight dispatch, crew management, and various international quality certification compliance and safety management systems. Nataya has extensive knowledge and practical experience in identifying operational needs through quality assurance standards, documentation control, and manuals review. Nataya will take us through over the next 15 minutes on what PRODIGY is doing, and this will be to cost effectively meet the training needs in Africa. Nataya, over the next 15 minutes, you have the time for the presentation. I will pick, if you have questions on the chat function and Q&A from the floor, I will pick this and we shall address this at the tail end of the presentation. Over to you, Nataya.
Okay, Maureen, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present what PRODIGY Aviation Solutions is doing. I am Nataya Ivondo, Compliance Manager. As you can see, PRODIGY Aviation Solutions is a consulting company working with stakeholders in aviation in Africa. We are headquartered in London, United Kingdom, with local offices in Lagos, Nigeria, Douala, Cameroon, and Dakar, Senegal. So our goal major is partnering with governments, airlines, airports, industry stakeholders, and position them with innovative solutions to gain a competitive, sustainable advantage in operating environment. So our services are pretty much, we go through asset management, IOSA audits, charter flights, crew leasing, AOC certification support, market intelligence, feasibility studies, and much more. So PASS, as a short form of PRODIGY Aviation Solutions, has large network of strategic partners and industry experts specializing in pilot and cabin crew training infrastructure, which is actually what we are going to talk about today in the Women and Youth in Aviation Conference that we are presenting. So let's proceed. So coming back to why we are here with this solution, because of the current situation on training challenges that we have in Africa, and the PRODIGY Aviation Training Center approach is one of the most best approach, wherein we are looking at what is impacting the industry at large, and we've come up with checking into seeing that global COVID-19 pandemic has shown severe travel restrictions that have been leading to loss of access to vital training infrastructure abroad, which is a major debacle. Airlines spending high cost to train crew, recruit, and acquire talented personnel. So training to become a commercial pilot is almost, as you can see, close to $100,000, which is something quite huge for African families. So current training capacity insignificant to meet future projected demand due to aging workforce. Also limited numbers of permanent and specialized instructors due to lack of affordable training facilities. So PRODIGY Aviation Training Center has been put in place to come to close the gaps. And that is why we are coming up with this sectional initiative with IFLYSIM, for the youths to be aware of how they can go about their development scope, and also ensuring that we have a full ATO that will be there for our African capacity building and to promote the girl child and the less vulnerable. Thank you. Continue. Next slide. Okay, so project background. When we are looking at the project background and addressing the gaps, it's due to multiple audits conducted with Major African airlines that have shown an alarming rate on lack of technical expertise on key aviation matters. And as well, when we look at the data from ICAO and IATA on their reports, we find that it's been highlighted that the issue of lack of skilled local content labor to sustain the industry is also another major aspect. And from the youth perspective, you have close to 60% of the African youths that believe that aviation careers are only for the privileged, are out of reach. And from the research done, we can also see that only 25% of African universities covering aviation managerial and technical matters. So it's a huge, huge, huge trend for the African aviation industry. So aviation professionals as well as families are not as well much equipped to transfer the know-how and passion to the next generations. So that's why we are coming up with an initiative that will seek the solution, to address the solution and bring in stakeholders, potential partners, schools, authorities in ensuring that this project goes through the African continent. And as you can see, IFLYSIM actually is supposed to be deployed, is something that will be deployed in the 54 African countries. So it's a huge project. Next slide. Okay, so when we are looking at the business itself, who is going to benefit? We are looking at the aspect of when we are looking at the airlines, airports, the authorities, ground handling companies, and the ATC. So for the airlines, we will have an immediate reduction in simulator training expenses. That will be reduced by 20 to 35%, which is different from what we find in our European training ATOs. A reduction of pilot downtime due to close proximity of training, reduction of administrative burden, for example, the Ghana, Nigeria visa-free entry, and our trains will be EASA FFA compliant, which will be accessible regionally in the ATO that we are putting in place. So we also have a capability to initiate any ab initio program campaign partnership with the ATO that any major airline can come up with to train their pilots. And also we'll have opportunities to outsource services that can be given to us, do assessment, and then we recruit. In the area of the airports, we will have, as you all know, security is now the issue of the day and safety. So it's much more vital that we have immediate access to security and safety training that are hands-on approach, more realistic and cost-effective. So the capability to create and have joint aviation training programs with other stakeholders involved in safety and security is a welcomed idea. So we also have access to advanced customer services training programs as well. So for the part of the CCA, it will sharpen their skills to ensure that their inspectors or CCA inspectors will be able to perform regular checks on the simulator in order to better perform operational audits. And these simulators will be put in place to anticipate or evaluate the impact of new technology policies and change of regulations prior to implementation. So we also ensure that they have an immediate access to capacity building solutions from the ATO. So same thing with the ground handling companies. They will have immediate access to modern aviation training, just like the ones that have been done before in other regions out of Africa. And so we are aiming at reduction in training costs, improvement of safety standards, and facilitate career reconversion for those who want to love aviation and come back into the profession. So same with ATC, we have to harmonize training standards by understanding what the pilots need, like on the CPDL communication aspect, facilitate career conversions, and much more. So this is how we are looking at the global picture when it comes to the benefits that business stakeholders will have who have to involve themselves into the ATO business that Prodigy Training Academy is trying to put in place. Next slide. Okay, now the next aspect is on the youth development. which is creating aviation awareness among the African youth. And here we are talking about IFLYSIM. And like all of you can see, IFLYSIM with the logos is already a representation of IFLYSIM Cameroon, which means we are very active already in Cameroon into ensuring that this comes to fruition. IFLYSIM Africa's vision is to demystify access to aviation careers and make aviation training solutions and tools more accessible to the future generation. So it will consist of what? Deploying simulator training devices, BITDs and FSTD across the continent. BITD, basic instrument training devices, and full flight simulator training devices. BITDs are just basic training devices for understanding of the basic rules in the cockpit. So developing online training and awareness sensitization campaigns to boost interest in aviation among the youths, and partnering with schools and universities to support the development of aviation training programs, and also supporting the CCA's inspectors' competency and skill development. So IFLYSIM, as I said earlier, is a project that will be for the youths and will be deployed Africa-wide in the 54 countries, and we are starting with Cameroon. So that is the vision and mission of IFLYSIM. Next slide. Okay, here it's already what we have in place is a prototype of what we have in place and how we want it to be seen in all other African countries where we'll be putting up the IFLYSIM project. So here you can find
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We seem to have lost our presenter, and he's logging back in a few. Nataya, are you now connected? Hello, Nataya, we can see you. Anasema Kindly let's allow him a couple of minutes to join.
So sorry for the glitch. There was a power outage. I'm very sorry about that. I'm back online. Thank you.
Welcome back. We can proceed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. You can proceed.
Okay, so as I was explaining, what we want to present in the entire IFLYSIM project initiative in Africa, as we can see from the picture, is a real representation on ground of a basic instrument training device that resembles that of the Cessna aircraft that is normally used for training, or the Diamond or the Piper Chineka. So we will be having two pilot seats plus one instructor seat and panel, the instructor operating system, radar screen, and all of this will be FAA approved flight training device, multi-engine aircraft. So we have real size cockpit and instrumentation used for official aviation training, access to all airports in the world, capability to generate all types of weather, advanced audio system to create realistic noise environment, connectivity to internet to have live air traffic control with real instructors in the world from all regions, and we have live GoPro webcam, analyze flying behaviors to post videos on social media and on streaming. And this will be done normally by retired flight captains or active airline pilots who will be interested to work on the project. So thank you. Let's continue. Next slide. Okay, as you can see here, the complete solution that we are looking for is you jump from the basic training device and into a small aircraft. This is an ultralight aircraft, which is less than 1 ton. So it will be for the purpose of ensuring pilots can feel the real sensibility of how it looks like to be in an aircraft while they are out of the basic instrument training device. And it will be based more purposefully for leisure as well as for training purposes for those who want to really embrace aviation. So this aircraft arrived in Douala, Cameroon, early this September 2021, and is ready for use. And the Cameroon will be the first country to benefit from the initiative, as I earlier said. So it's a complete solution for the youth to embrace a flying experience for both training and leisure. And with this, students will be able to gain added advantage that is truly welcomed. And we are expecting that all stakeholders put hands on deck on the promotion and development of youths when it comes to IFLYSIM projects for their countries. So this opportunity is to demonstrate the high demand of capacity for aviation training needs for youth development. Next slide. From the pictures, this is the actual BITD device in Douala, Cameroon. And from the pictures, you can see that our children already having a real feeling of how it looks like to get into the simulator and have real life instrumentation on how it will look like, as well as if it was to be in a real aircraft. So we are already almost 50% gone into this project. And we are now hands with the CCAA on the completion of the check and to be able to certify the instrument device, and we'll be able to start using it. So it's already here in Douala in Cameroon. Next slide. So how we aim to look at the entire business model is what is on this screen. And normally, since we are deploying into 54 countries in Africa, we are just looking into the business ownership, which is normally PRODIGY Aviation Solutions, partnering with local partners per country, and having private investors. So we're looking at crewing, that is people who will be more concerned in the simulator sessions. In the simulator device, we'll be having per country, a country manager, 2 commercials, 2 instructors, IT support, and the social media manager for all of what is supposed to be on advertising and promotion. So partnerships and sponsorships, we're looking at partnering with IATA, ICAO, all the local authorities. We are already in partnership with AFRAA, and they are here to, they will be leading the ball on how to roll out this gigantic project in the whole of Africa. So we're looking also at the locals and those who will be interested to promote aviation. So products and solutions offered, it's normal flight discovery, avoid fear from flying, flying competition, making flying competitions, making pilot reality, doing CRM training, SOPs, and all of that. That's something that will be there to ensure that this is functioning per country. So the simulators, like I explained earlier, will be basic instrument training devices to fit with the Cessnas, the Pipers, and Diamonds. And also on the bigger scope, that is when we'll be talking about the ATO that we are putting forth in Abuja. We'll be talking about specific aircraft types like the Airbus A320, the Boeing's 737 NGs, and other aircrafts like the Embraers. So potential locations for this kind of a project, we can position where it's more feasible and more accessible. So we are looking at shopping malls, department stores, remote trucks, airports, and what have you. So the target is everybody. We're looking at the local youth, students, parents, corporate organizations, governments, NGOs, militaries, everybody who is supposed to, who will have an interest and who will be there to guide and have an interest in ensuring that this project works and is a welcome idea in their individual countries. Simulator features, just like I read earlier, is same thing, real cockpit feeling, all type of weather information, live ATC coverage, and all of that. So that's it for the business model for IFLYSIM. So let's go to the next. As you can see here on the pictures is the African deployment map. And from the logo, you see we are already working in Cameroon. It's a customized color as per the country. Each country can have its own customized colors. And we are looking into ensuring that after this, after Cameroon, we will now spread to other African countries like Nigeria, Senegal, the DRC Congo, Ghana, and a host of others as we keep moving. And in the pictures, that's the memorandum of understanding of that was signed between AFRAA and PRODIGY on how to manage the deployment of the project. Next slide. So coming to the bigger picture, like I earlier announced, we are now talking about the ATO and where we are with the challenges that Africa is facing. And we are now looking at the actual training center that will enhance aviation capacity building and the promotion of the youths and ensure that they embrace aviation as the most preferred and more interesting career in their individual lives. So let's get into the content. Okay, so looking at that global solution for the African society, we aimed at bridging the gap on training facilities, especially in West and Central Africa, where aviation is inexistent or in a limited capacity. And we are ensuring that we are going to promote learning opportunities and by addressing the gender gap in the aviation sector, especially when it comes to the women. They are the most marginalized, so we will be seeking for a solution, a more tangible solution to ensure that the more women are trained and they are removed from their kitchens and get into the cockpits. So we also require the involvement of stakeholders to support aviation skills development and career enhancement, thereby putting in place joint ventures with PRODIGY on this particular aspect and ensuring that we have one of the top-notch training centers in Africa. So we target youths, as like I said, and women in special, gain requisite knowledge and required skills. So training center is there to promote everybody. The training of pilots, cabin crew, mechanics, flight dispatchers, and management staff. And this can be done on campus, virtually, and by distance learning as per the new technological advancements of today's world. Okay, here is actually pictures on what we expect to have on ground if everything goes as planned. So this is a center with different simulators, full flight simulators, which will host different aircraft types, the Airbuses, the Embraers, the Boeings. And as you can see, why we chose Nigeria, because Nigeria is already a huge market and it has a huge demand of this kind of infrastructure, and it is more centralized within the West and Central Africa for all aviation stakeholders to put hand on deck. So we are looking at finalizing talks with local landowners and contractors regarding civil and engineering works. We are also looking at bill of equal quantities and drawings, which are currently being reviewed by the local contractor. And we want to ensure that this facility will be within easy reach of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. That's why we've chosen Abuja, since it's more central and more more important for this project. So that is what we want to do to address this situation that in Africa is like a nightmare to us. So we want to promote aviation, and our business is aviation. Prodigy Aviation Solutions is where aviation meets business. So I will stop here so far, and I will welcome any questions. Next slide. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for listening to Prodigy Aviation Solutions.
Thank you very much for making your presentation on what Prodigy is doing to cost effectively meet the training needs of the African continent. We don't have any questions from the floor regarding the presentation, so I think that will bring us to a close of this session. The presentations will all be shared with those who had registered for the conference, and also just to inform participants, those who wish to follow a session, to review a recording that was done of a session that you missed, the application will be left live for the next couple of weeks. So you can always come and watch a recording of a session, even post-event. Okay. We will now be proceeding to the closing session of the conference in the next couple of minutes. So thank you very much, and let's meet at the closing session. Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.